Let's stay with the coronavirus. A travel ban on COVID-19 high-risk countries has come into effect. The Minister for Transport, Home Affairs and Public Enterprises briefed the media on details involved in implementing the decision announced by President Cyril Ramaphosa on Sunday. Michael Apple has more.
So as of the 18th, this travel ban will kick in, as of the 18th of March 2020. Once this is gazetted, a special ministerial order will be communicated. All affected countries will then be notified about the travel restrictions that have been put in place. There is a certain category of traveller who will be exempt from these travel restrictions or from the travel ban imposed on high-risk countries, and that is if you're a diplomat. So bear that in mind. Minister Aaron Motsoaledi for Home Affairs mentioned that we've got 72 ports of entry in South Africa, 53 on land, 11 airports and 8 seaports. Regarding ports of entry by land, 35 will be closed. We have, for example, 17 ports of entry via land with Botswana, 5 will remain open. Beitbridge, the port of entry into Zimbabwe, remains open. There are 4 ports of entry with Mozambique, 1 will remain open. These are just some examples of the other countries. With Lesotho, there will be some that remain open. So some of the ports of entry on land will remain open. This is about minimizing contact, not isolating the entire country. When it comes to the 11 airports as ports of entry, none of them will be closed. Seaports, 6 will be left open, and Mossel Bay and Saldanha, those 2 ports of entry via sea will only be for goods, no passengers any longer. When it comes to the issue of visas, China and Iran need visas to get into South Africa anyway. They are on the high risk, on the list of high risk countries. So the rest were all exempt. We're talking about the United Kingdom, the US, Spain, Italy. They were all exempt from visas, but that has now changed. So between January and February, 8,000 plus visas to China were issued. Those 8,000 visas will now be revoked. To Iran, between January and February this year, 425 visas were issued. Those will have to be revoked. Then you get medium risk countries like Portugal, Hong Kong and Singapore. They will require a certificate, a medical certificate that they have been declared to be corona-free before they are considered to come in. They require visas. I asked the ministers in very plain language, should the travellers from high-risk countries simply not bother? So it's being called a travel ban, but it's more a travel restriction. There may still be certain travellers from high-risk countries who have to jump through a lot of hoops, a lot of layers of protection for South Africa before they are allowed a visa to get in. So it is not an outright ban on travel from high-risk countries, but they will have to jump through a lot of hoops to get in here. Minister Pravin Gordhan from Public Enterprises says that the grounding of a lot of aircraft at the moment is happening across the world as the COVID virus wreaks havoc on airlines and airline industries. He says that in the EU, between 50 and 70 billion euros has been asked for by airlines just to try and help them survive this very difficult period. In the US, up to $50 billion has been asked to help airlines simply stay afloat. He believes that the structure of airlines going forward is going to look dramatically different as of May this year. So the detail there will be fleshed out at a later stage, but this is really testing airlines' ability to just remain in the air. The repatriation process for South Africans who are abroad and looking to come back to their home country, that will still be done, and those details will be released at a later stage. There was one more issue. If you're a foreign national staying in South Africa and you have a visa which is going to expire or has already expired, and you are from a high-risk country and you do not want to return to Italy or Spain or the United Kingdom or France or China, South Africa will, up until July, be renewing visas to make it, I mean, it just makes sense, to allow those people who are in our country, be they studying or if they were visiting by chance, and if they put in a request to renew their visas and extend them up until after this crisis has abated, that request will be considered up until at least July. This state of disaster remains in place for at least 3 months once it has been gazetted, and thereafter the situation will be reassessed to see whether it should be revoked or extended. Michael Apple at OR Tambo International Airport in Johannesburg.